Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great week. Today we're going to talk about surviving the all-nighter. Now when I was in school, I had more all-nighters than I'd like to admit. But it's okay, but I also realized that I wasn't always as prepared as I would like to have been. So hopefully this video will help you. I noticed a trend in my earlier years of school that you tend to do more all-nighters in your earlier years, and there are many different reasons for that. You get more projects more frequently, you have less time to do them, you're so new to everything, you don't really know how things work, you don't know what goes into everything that you have to be doing, and that's okay. You just need a little more time to do them, and all-nighters happen to be the result of that. And hopefully you guys will be a little more prepared than I was. And so here are my tips for surviving the all-nighter. Well, my first tip is kind of a non-tip, which is to not do them. They're not healthy. They throw you off on your whole sleep and wake and every kind of schedule that you can think of. I would suggest not doing them, but that's not gonna happen, and I accept that, and that's fine. But that is my first tip or untip, and here are the rest of the real tips. Tip number 2, bring lots of food. That was something that I did not do, and I would just be 2 hours after being in studio, I'd be starving, and after midnight in the town where my school was, the whole town shut down and you couldn't get delivery, you couldn't pick up anything. So basically I was out of luck until the morning, which was awful. So I would suggest planning ahead, bringing breakfast, bringing snacks, bringing dinner. If you haven't already eaten it, bring a second dinner. I love food, I eat all the time. I am big on food, so I think you should bring as much food as you can and just be prepared. It's better to have too much food than not enough. So food. Tip number 3 is to stay hydrated. I know that I mentioned this in my How to Stay Focused in Studio video, and this applies to all kinds of things. Staying hydrated keeps you more energized, it prevents you from getting tired. It's just a good thing to be hydrated. So bring lots of water. Hopefully your school has fountains, and just fill up as much as you can because it's great to stay hydrated. Tip number 4. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when a certain time of the night comes around, I tend to get very chilly. And also in my studio, they would shut the heat off at 11 p.m., which was terrible. So I would suggest bringing lots of layers or just warm clothes, and be prepared for when that time of night comes around and you haven't slept. Maybe you forgot step 2 and didn't bring food, and so that would make you a little more cold. So bring layers and stay warm, and that'll help you stay focused because you're not worried about being cold and not feeling your fingers, and that's not good. Layers, clothes, warm. Do that. Step number 5 is to bring a change of clothes. Who knows how long you're gonna be in studio? You might be there long enough for classes to start the next day, and it's probably not gonna look so great when you roll up in the same clothes you were wearing yesterday. So bring a change of clothes for nighttime, bring some comfy clothes. And then bring some clothes for the next day because you're probably still gonna be there when your classes roll around. Tip number 6 is caffeine. You need it. You're gonna be up for a long time, so get your coffee or your tea and start drinking because you're gonna need it. I would say avoid at all costs any kind of energy drinks because those are not good for you. There's lots of sugar and you just crash on them. Tip number 7. Well, okay, my definition of an all-nighter may be different from yours, and everybody seems to have their own definition. For me, it is staying up for 24 hours, which usually ends up being a lot more than that because you're up all day, you have classes, and then you're up all night working, and then you're up all day again the next day because you have classes again. So it really ends up being something closer to 30 something, 40 something hours, which not good for you, but that is typically my definition of an all-nighter. This step number 7 or tip number 7 breaks the definition of all-nighter that I have, which is to take a nap if you have the opportunity, if you feel that you need it. Who cares? You don't need to brag about how many all-nighters you have. That's something you shouldn't do. If anything, you should brag about how many you don't have, because all-nighters are not good for you. If you have the opportunity, if you feel that you need it, go ahead. My studio happened to have couches in our lounge, and there was always somebody sleeping on there. So if you have them, use them. If you need it, go for it. If that doesn't meet your definition of what an all-nighter is, who cares? If you need to go take a nap, go for it. Take a nap. It will make you re-energize. You'll find that you'll get a lot more work done if you let yourself rest for a little bit, and you'll be better off in the long run. Take a nap. Tip number 8 is kind of a safety issue. I would say avoid making models. You're around sharp objects, and you're around glue, which you can burn yourself, cut yourself, all kinds of things. It might not turn out so great. You'll be wasting money. Who wants to do that? I don't think that's a great idea. I would suggest building models during the day when you've slept and, there's people around if anything were to happen. At night, if you cut yourself, let's not talk about that. But anyway, I would suggest not making models. Do computer work. Do anything else. Don't do models. Tip number 9, go home. If you find that you're not being productive, there's no point in you staying up all night to get nothing done. It's better to go home and get a few hours of sleep and then come back at least a little bit more energized, and you can work the rest of the day. That sounds good to me. I've seen people stay in studio all night watching basketball games and TV and all kinds of stuff, and it's just not worth it. What's the point in staying in studio all night just to watch TV when you could do that in the comfort of your bed? I do not know. I would opt for going home. But if you find yourself being too tired to work in studio, you might want to take a nap before you think about driving or something. Just another safety thing. We don't want anything to happen to you. Tip number 10. Staying up in studio all night is just not fun. It is not enjoyable. And sometimes you need a little bit of motivation. You need something to give you a little bit of life while you're in there. I think you should find a way to make yourself laugh. If you have a comedian that you like to listen to, if there's this adorable puppy video that puts a smile on your face, go ahead and watch it. Watch it a few times. Take a half an hour and just give yourself some joy in a time of just awful, dreadful misery. Find a way to make yourself laugh and just enjoy the moment, enjoy the time that you're having. Know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you're fine, the night will be over soon, and just find a way to make yourself happy in a time of unhappiness. Well, those are my 10 tips for surviving the all-nighter. I hope these help you. I hope you've learned something. If you have something else that you want to share about your tips or what you do, your experiences, anything, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. How is that okay, and how do we fix this? How do we fix this broken system that we're a part of? How do we make our dog stop crying while we're making a video?